my name is Catherine, I am a feminine phenom, and today we will be talking about Asian representations in Western media. You know, that old chestnut. So for my first question, name all of your favorite Asian actors. Now as a follow-up question, think of how many times you've heard men say, I don't know what it is, I'm just really attracted to Asian girls. If you're like me, there's a little bit of a creepy discrepancy between those two numbers. But speaking of people who are commonly called attractive, let's talk about Scarlett Johansson. So a lot of people have been talking about ScarJo recently because she got cast in The Ghost in the Shell, which was an extremely influential and popular Japanese anime that originally came out in the 80s and is now being made as a live-action version in the US. Why are people pissed about this? Because Scarlett Johansson is white, and nobody in the original anime is white. So the major question to posit here is, why the fuck should anyone care? Let's start right here. This is Gail Sondergaard appearing in the 1940 movie The Letter. The point is that she is a domineering 6-foot-tall white woman playing an Asian woman. But that was 1940. We were just complete caca for brains back then. So let's skip ahead 20 years to 1961. This is Mickey Rooney playing Mr. Yunioshi in the film Breakfast at Tiffany's. So once again, a white actor playing an Asian character who is portrayed in an extremely negative light. But that was the 60s, like civil rights hadn't happened yet, everyone was on LSD, we hadn't even invented Molly yet. Obama's president now, race relations have come so far since the 1960s. But have they? And have we really come that far when as recent as 2015, Emma Stone played a half-Asian character in Aloha, and then reports have come out that they've actually tried to use CGI in Ghost in the Shell to make the actors look more Asian. This is blatant use of something called yellowface, which is very similar to blackface and just as offensive. So yellowface is when we take a white actor and try to make them look like an Asian actor, so you know, we don't have to use Asian actors because that's so annoying. In case I get in trouble, that was sarcasm. But all of this plays into a more general term called whitewashing, which is basically just an excuse for us to keep white people in movies and not have to be burdened by seeing people of color. Once again, that's sarcasm. And while whitewashing is rampant in the entertainment industry for pretty much every race apart from Caucasian, it's particularly affecting the Asian community. Estimates show that something like 5% of all roles in TV and films are given to Asian actors. And that's not necessarily a lead role or even a speaking role, that might just be someone who's mostly in the background and every once in a while says something like, huh, how about that, to help the white people make decisions in their destiny. Because if we've learned anything from TV and film, only straight white men have destinies. The way that we represent Asians in media is really strange. Because where in this thing does it say that Cho Chang wore Chinese robes to the Yule Ball and the Patil twins wore saris? Why couldn't they just wear regular wizarding robes like everyone else? Cho Chang had an Irish accent. Like, we're pointing out that they're Asian in case you couldn't tell. So this is why a lot of Asian characters fall into caricatures rather than like real people. The dragon lady, the bumbling nerd, the martial artist. And you might stop me and be like, what's wrong with the martial artist? Bruce Lee is the best! But can you imagine being an actor and only being able to work when you can fall into one of those characters? It's easy to ignore this, but it's just so hard for Asian actors to break in and actually play roles of substance. When Constance Wu landed a part on the critically acclaimed show Fresh Off the Boat, she kept getting reminded it's been 20 years since there's been any show that was predominantly Asian. That show was the 1994 sitcom All-American Girl, which starred Margaret Cho, and she has openly talked about how she was pressured to lose weight because she didn't fall into the normal Asian stereotype of being like really tiny. Like, that's so fucked up, it's so stupid. I feel like I've stopped making like coherent points and I'm just like drunkenly yelling at the camera at this point, but why stop now? Except that this is still done in franchises that have a built-in fan base and don't rely on bankable actors. Now I'm going to talk about something that is a very painful memory for me, so please be patient. In 2010, a film came out that was titled The Last Airbender. Among this film's many indiscretions was its racial casting. The original TV show doesn't really have that many white people, and yet we were given a movie in which every single main character was white except the bad guys were all Indian, which happened to be the race of the director. And so why can't Asian actors be given these roles that were originally written for Asian characters? The excuse that we are continually given for whitewashing is that actors of color aren't bankable. What they're saying is that there aren't any Asian actresses that have enough name recognition to make money, whereas tons of people will come see Scarlett Johansson. Like, these kids in this movie were pretty unknown. It wasn't gonna affect ticket sales if it was an Asian kid instead of Noah Ringer. People were still gonna come see it. But this whole bankable argument basically says people won't go see movies that star women or people of color, and then Star Wars The Force Awakens became the highest grossing movie of all time. So this reasoning that we can't make money off of actors of color is total bullshit, especially when it comes to these giant franchises that people are just gonna go see. So now you have to face, why aren't they being cast? It is not an accurate representation of our society, and it will not lose money in a lot of these franchises that are still overlooking characters of color. And if you haven't seen Master of None, go watch it. It's a Netflix series and it stars Aziz Ansari, who is an Asian actor, and it specifically talks about the Asian experience in the Western world, and specifically being an Asian actor and continually being asked, what's the best funny Indian accent you can do? If you liked this video, that's rather shocking to me, so definitely say so or subscribe. If you didn't like this video, oh, how original you are. You must have giant muscles. Have an excellent weekend and stay away from boy bands and liquor.